Just to kind of set the stage, we're going to have this conversation in two parts. I'm going to be talking about the product enterprise search that we launched and which is GA as of today. And then followed by that, we'll have our panelist here with Eva to talk about the search use cases and how they're using this enterprise search in their day-to-day business. So my name is Sachin, and I am the Director of Product for Enterprise Search offering at Google Cloud. Excited to talk to you about what we are doing in this space of enterprise search. When you really look at it, for a long time, customers were used to Google, and they were like, hey, why can't I get that Google kind of experience either on my own website or the apps I have, or for my own internal employee and knowledge sharing, right, and content management. So we had this question for a long time around how do you provide this Google search experience to enterprise customers? And that's the mission where we started of providing access to information, whether it's your own website digital properties or own your internal employees and other search bases. And that's got accelerated with the introduction of what's happening in large language model and foundational models. So we've launched a platform, and I'll go a little bit deeper into it on the product side, where we have enterprise search capabilities, which can have capabilities like natural languages, right? Where it's not only keyword-based, but the same queries that you ask on google.com, you can use it either in an internal search spaces, or you can use it on your customer-facing websites. We have introduced new modules for summarizations with citation. And this morning, you saw kind of an experience of that if you were in the keynote, where Ninshad talked about finding and renewing your license on DMV website, where you kind of saw the summarization of the answers and then also the citation of all the links that went through it, right? Obviously, there's a follow-up. So we have worked on kind of keeping the state of the conversation between two queries, and you can have more of a conversational experience as part of that search. So that's where search is going. So when you really start with, one sec. Okay, the formatting of the slide looks a little different. But when we started on this, we started thinking about who are we building this search for? Are we building it for the developers? Are we building it for the practitioners of AI and data? And one thing we realized was we wanted to kind of build a platform which can satisfy the needs of folks on the developer side who really want to build an out-of-the-box experience where I can plug and play. And I'll get a search API that I can call, and it will manage everything for me, from data ingestion to indexing to giving me the results. On the other hand, we do understand enterprises have some complicated use cases where they want to build their own search experiences. Maybe they want a vector search. They want to have their own embeddings and all other things. So how do we start building a platform which caters to the needs of both enterprises with advanced analytics folks who want more of a platform components, as well as enterprise developers who really want to focus on building getting an API which is more out-of-the-box solution and which is most of a managed service. So we have built this platform with taking these two personas in the mind, developers and AI practitioners, and providing enough of tuning and customization so folks can move from left to right or right to left. So that was the vision of how we started and building this platform, these two personas. In terms of the use cases that we are really solving for, we're solving for primarily two use cases, both customer-facing search as well as internal employee search. Traditionally, when you think about enterprise search, I think it's associated with internal employee search. But in this case, we are using an expansive meaning of enterprise search, which is search that's required by an enterprise. It doesn't matter whether it's external customer-facing or internal employee-facing search. And we'll go a little detail into kind of like what are the use cases we are seeing for search today. In terms of the use cases, right? Primarily, when we think about the use cases that we are serving on the external use case, it's the public website search, which is what the example of DMV was in this morning, where it's easy for you to create a Google kind of experience on your own individual websites within a couple of minutes. Literally, you give us the URL of what you want to build, we'll crawl it, we'll index it, and search API will be ready, and then you can enable search on your own website. And it's available in a single turn, multi-turn, different kind of abilities. It has its own LLM capabilities that are built in as well. The second part of customer-facing search are really around catalog search, right? In catalog, we have different versions of the product. One is where you can actually bring any catalog. There's no schema enforcement. You get to define your own schema. You get to define your own index. And we'll make a search available for more of a structured catalog. On the other flavor of catalog is where we have specialized searches that we have built, whether it's a retail search. A lot of big retailers across the globe are actually using Google Retail Search today, where you bring in your retail catalog and will enable search on top of it. And that search will be optimized for either revenue per visitor or some kind of matrix. So that's another use case that we have been serving. And these are just not the 4 use cases. There are many more use cases, but these are just a high-level use cases. Eva and the team later on from Mayo and World Bank will kind of get into the details of different use cases they are seeing. From an internal worker search, really kind of the 2 flavors that I wanted to highlight here at a high level is around a document search. So this is how do I have this information spread in multiple PDFs and documents across, and each time I have to get an answer for something, I have to open this, and maybe I have 10 versions of this doc and 5 versions of these slides. How do I get something that helps me get information from all of these? And somebody summarizes me this information across, right? So that's the document search that we are seeing, and we have enabled as part of our platform. And later on, the panelists will talk a little bit about what they are using this for in terms of documents. We are seeing this interest from across a wide variety of industries. In terms of the last bucket, which is more about your traditional intranet search, right? Which is around, hey, I have a bunch of documents which are behind a restricted site, and I need access to this. And I almost want a Google kind of experience where all of my information and content is available for knowledge discovery. This is where we are enabling our intranet search, where you can use this search to really go across whether it's a Google Workspace or other productivity tools and other documents to get a search enabled. We already had a product in this space. It was called Google Cloud Search. It was part of our Workspace solution suite. We are taking it over and we are porting it over as part of an enterprise search application. You'll start seeing a lot more capabilities on that product. That product already has capabilities on ACL, which is required, identity management, and a bunch of things. But you'll start seeing more capabilities like multi-turn search, summarization with citations, and other capabilities that will happen on this product. So in terms of the vision of where we really want to go, and this just talks about the Ninshad example that we had in the keynote this morning. We really wanted enterprises an easy way to build search and get Google quality results. And that has been our number 1 goal. How can every digital property in the world and every organization in the world get access to their information as they have come to expect from their daily experiences on google.com. The second thing that we really wanted to focus was on how do we get ground our search results in our enterprise corpus, right? We want to give the flexibility for enterprise customers to define what that corpus looks like. And they can decide to be restrictive on their own corpus or be a little more expansive with maybe, affiliated data sources that they trust. So we wanted to give this kind of control back to enterprises of making sure that they have data information and control over the data sources. The other things we really wanted to focus was on giving proper access controls. This is very important for enterprises that certain visibility is only available to certain people, and that's been one of the important features as part of our enterprise search, that your manager should be able to see some information that you as an employee may not be privy to or not allowed to. An important part of building any kind of search in the system is data, and especially for an internal employee search or other places where you've got to index across multiple sources of information. We wanted to build an easy experience And that's where, today we'll get a little bit more into the details of what data sources are available, but we are actively incorporating a large amount of data sources where it will be easy, where plugins will be available and connectors will be available to bring in data from multitude of legacy systems as well as SaaS systems into our environment for easy build of search. Finally, fourth thing is a lot of exciting things are happening in the space of vector search. And that's where we are rebranding and relaunching our platform of vector search, which was previously called Matching Engine. And we'll go a little bit detail into what we are doing with our vector search approach. Really useful, as I mentioned earlier, about how we think about our platform strategy, right? From out-of-the-box applications to enterprise developers from ML practitioners who want to use the platform approach. Vector search is an important part of our platform approach for folks who want to build their own search on top of our platform. Finally, I think one of the most important things is we wanted to provide that customization ability, right? We understand every enterprise is different. Some enterprise wants to get into details of something, some want a little bit more abstract things. So as part of that, we are providing a lot of flexibility on our platform. If we are providing you confidence scores on our retrievals, so you can actually look at those confidence scores and make a summary judgment. Hey, maybe as a company, my threshold for confidence score is 90%, and I'm only going to show results about 90% as well as summarize them as part of the snippets. Or I might say, okay, I'm okay with 60 or 75% confidence score. So we are going to turn in more, give you more information about the stack, and then you can make information useful on how you want to customize your search results. So that's been the vision of how do we provide you something not only out of the box, but all the way to building it your own search to somewhere in the middle, providing you the levers and the tools and the signals like confidence scores so you can actually decide how do you want to enable that search experience. So that's been our primary vision for launching platform. In terms of roadmap, this is not an expansive list of things that we have launched up till now. What we have launched is generative search with LLM capabilities, and as part of that generative search, we already talked about grounding it to your defined corpus of data. The second thing is multi-turn conversational search, where you're able to have a conversation and state between searches. Standard features like autocomplete, spell check, query understanding, query intent, all of those are already built into our websites. We are launching more things on connectors, and we'll talk a little bit more about what new connectors are coming into our space. We have configurations that are available where you can decide how do you want to boost, bury other things. And finally, the most important thing is providing you, levers for safety and search, as well as building an application which is more focused on responsible AI. In terms of, I think, what's exciting and what's coming soon and what was announced today was some 3P connectors, right? Today, primarily, the integration was done either through BigQuery or Google Cloud Storage, but we are announcing connectors for some of the most popular ones, right? Whether it's Salesforce, Confluence, and Jira. And we have a list of other connectors that the team is building through. Just FYI, the connectors will be launched in a preview mode, not in a GA mode, in the next 2 weeks. We are also announcing the confidence scoring, which is again available in preview mode and coming soon. Actually, it was available today. All the information is actually is available on our site, and later on, Eva is going to flash our URL, or you can Google it where we are. You'll be able to find a lot of information from our product perspective on what's available and what's not. I wanted to kind of highlight a few things which are really exciting to talk about, which I'm personally getting excited to talk about. One of the things is around adapters. We built a unique technology of adapters where you can actually use simple golden data sets of question and answers to improve your search quality results. This is just a sample of queries, mocked up by us, so don't look into the validity of whatever it is. But as a user, think about it. Like, you can actually say, this is my question and this is my answer. And you can say, okay, thumbs up. or thumbs down. We have more of a range of scoring, actually. It's 1 to 0 to 5 scoring, or -2 to 2+2 scoring approach. And then, based on the scoring that you give, the model is learning what is a good answer and what is a good summarization. So this is something that we are excited to make it available part of an enterprise search, where you get to tune the quality of your results based with easy thumbs up and thumbs down approach. And this adapter will be very specific for your search result and your project that you have created. So as a customer, you get to have an adapter that is really tuned to your data. And more than that, like if you have 5 different search applications within, you can actually define a different data sets for each one of them in terms of what adapters you want to train. Maybe for your external customer-facing search, you have a different Q&A and golden data sets. For an internal, it's different, and within internal, you might have different data sets. So you can literally build custom adapters at each of the project levels. The next thing is obviously kind of what's happening in the vector search space. As I mentioned earlier, we are rebranding our matching engine and relaunching it as our vector search. One of the unique things about our vector search is our ability to scale and provide that enterprise readiness of high QPS. And that has been something very unique for us and very, very, very proud. It's the same vector search infrastructure that powers Google.com. So imagine, we have some of the world's biggest customers and retailers who are actually using this actively because they couldn't find that kind of scalability and power with other vector search applications that exist in the market today. So we are excited about that. We are actually doing a lot of changes, introducing a lot of changes with the product. We are going to go and provide more easy documentation. We want to cut down the indexing time from what it exists today. We want to make it in a couple of minutes. This is already a GA product, so we are going to introduce more enhancements where you can start building your index within few minutes, as opposed to waiting for a longer time. We are working on kind of changing the whole UI experience and making that onboarding much easier for customers who really want to use our vector search. And we've seen a lot of customers in this space are really kind of the AI ML practitioners who are building their own search for a particular application, right? Where it's really unique in the way it's been built. So these are some of the exciting things that are coming up from a roadmap perspective, as well as the vision for the product, which is to serve the needs of customers. Doesn't matter if you are an enterprise with a lot of data scientists and unique skill sets and you want a platform to build your search on, or you're more of a niche enterprise who wants an out-of-the-box solution which is managed, or you're somewhere in the middle where you want an out-of-the-box solution, but enough of ability to customize your search for different applications and play to the needs of your use cases. With that, I'm going to give it over to my colleague, Eva, and the panel to talk about the use cases.
Thank you very much, Sachin. The use case landscape is endless. Probably after hearing to Sachin, you would come back and we'll have as many use cases as people in that room, or even more, since a couple of you will come back with a couple of use cases within your enterprise environment. Having said that, working with multiple organizations over the past months, we've seen some common themes, and these are just examples that you might associate your organization as well with. The first one is conversational commerce and recommendations, and that doesn't limit itself to retail only. That applies to any segmented market where customers are now having those packaged solutions for them and packaged products, but now with the search capabilities, we'll be easily able to search for additional products and customize their portfolio of products they want to select. The other one is, Sachin alluded to that before, is document and media search. Enterprise search allows us to really select and answer specific domain questions from a variety of sources, whether this is PDF, unstructured, structured data, and so on and so forth. Create that vector representation and ask specific domain to the model. The other aspect is website search and navigation. In that area, any enterprise has a website, allowing your customers to really search through that website in a more efficient manner. Time to resolutions of crucial value and drop-off KPIs are really hitting many of our organizations, so allowing that fast to resolution, fast to insight navigation through the website is really key. And the next aspect is market research. Any of the organization has some market research capabilities and needs. So being able to drive through summarization, through content generation, the insights that you can give to your organizations is of huge importance and drives productivity improvements. And the last piece that we want to highlight is employee assistance. Being able to drive productivity improvements through providing the assistance to any employees, whether this is cloud search that Sachin talked about, or even agent assist and KYC capabilities on any of the consumers in the call center. These are the use cases we have been seeing. And eventually, what is the impact of solving all of those business problems? And we ask ourselves, how do you measure the value of that? And customer experiences, improvement in customer experience is one of them, whether it's this net promoter scores or other KPIs that you might look in your organizations. Productivity improvements, we alluded to that as well, driving through insights, faster time to resolution and faster time to insights, time to value provides additional aspects. Process optimization, that also comes back to allowing your users and your customers to drive the search to the transaction and completing an order or a payment. And last but not least, scalability, competitiveness. We have seen that those organizations that embraced that innovativeness in their environments are able to reap higher revenue sources and drive competitiveness. But before we talk too much about it, I would like our guests to speak to that and invite them on stage. So the first one is Dedaimia Kozlovsky, who is a solution architect for Mayo Clinic Cloud, which is a platform established by partnership of Mayo Clinic and Google to transform healthcare with capabilities of Google Cloud. Dedaimia has more than 15 years of experience in healthcare and AI. Welcome on stage. And the second person I would like to invite is Raman Pugalum Perumal, who is a seasoned technology industry professional with over 20 years of experience working at the World Bank. He currently serves as the lead of the artificial intelligence and machine learning platform teams, where his team is focused on harnessing the potential of AI to enhance the efficiency and productivity of frontline World Bank staff. Welcome on stage. So we are going to start with a question. We talked a lot about the use cases. What are the use cases that you are seeing in your organizations while experimenting with enterprise search over the past months? And I will start with Dedaimia.
Well, Mayo Clinic really sees a number of use cases for enterprise search. Just to give you a flavor, I'll tell you about 3 of them. For our patients and visitors, we're looking at enterprise search on our public website so they can take advantage of that natural language interaction and the quick summary without having to read the search results. For internal Mayo staff, we're loading knowledge bases into enterprise search, like our policy documents and our IT knowledge base. So you'll be able to ask enterprise search, what's the dress code when attending a conference, or how do I get access to Google Cloud? And then a third use case for clinicians and researchers is we're loading clinical documents into enterprise search. We have years' worth of full text documents from patient visits, surgical notes, radiology and pathology reports that really represent a wealth of knowledge. But it's hard to access with traditional search methods and almost prohibitively time-consuming to try to read manually. So we're really hoping that enterprise search will let us realize the full value of that data set.
And the follow-up question is immediately, how do you measure that value? Hoping is one thing, measuring, what you measure you control.
Well, there are three different ways that we measure it. The first is we're really looking to provide a joyful search experience, not just a search that gets the job done, but one that's a pleasure to use. And certainly in my experiences, enterprise search meets that. We'll also get customer feedback on that area. The second value add that we're trying to get is time savings. The summary is a great feature for that because you don't always have to read the individual search results. You can just get your answer right away. And then for something like this huge data set of clinical documents, being able to find the ones that you need really quickly, even if you then have to read them, but there's also summary features in enterprise search for individual documents. The third way we measure value is more quantitative, and this is we need to be sure it's giving correct answers. So we'll test enterprise search against known right answers and measure the reliability and precision, or the recall and precision, sorry.
Yeah, so it's truly a combination of measuring the performance of the model, the performance of the summarization, and the business metrics, right, that you need to look at. Raman, how is that in your case? What are the use cases and how do you measure the value of implementing those use cases?
Sure, thanks, Eva. At the World Bank, I think we pride ourselves in being a knowledge institution, so a lot of focus on analysis. So any analysis, as with any organization, it starts with a search. So if we are able to provide AI-generated summaries, that kind of takes us a significant way, instead of users having to click on blue links, find it out for themselves. The second piece is we also produce a lot of information. And if we are able to use the outputs of search to generate zero drafts to get our processes kick-started, that was another one. And it would be priceless to have conversations with 70 years of knowledge and research which the World Bank has put together, not just for internal staff, but also for the public in general. So that is, those are kind of the key use cases which we are focused on.
Yeah, and how are you measuring?
The measuring of value is pretty much aligned with what Dee spoke about. It's a lot of measurements on the search performance, the quantitative metrics on precision, recall, customer satisfaction surveys which go out. But then for the knowledge products, it's going to be more towards the time to market, the time to move from one process stage to another, because it takes a significant amount of time. And if we are able to measure and bring that time down, it brings greater value for every dollar which the World Bank invests in development.
Yeah. So this is exactly what we are seeing in many of the clients, and probably you can identify with. Those metrics are pretty common, independent of the industry, right? And we encourage as well customers to think about it up front before they start launching, before they start even a POC, proof of concept, to really think about those metrics. I know we have been working for a while, so it would be interesting to hear what was your experience so far and what are the wish lists that you have for us. We always listen to our clients and try to implement the best we can.
So I want to first say that Enterprise Search is coming out with wonderful new features every day. VPCSC support, for example, just came out earlier this month. We were very excited by that one. Top of our list for new features were some of the ones that Sachin talked about a little earlier. We want more connectors to ingest data from a variety of data sources. So we're excited about being able to crawl intranet resources and ingest data directly from existing knowledge bases and search stores. Another thing that's on our list was the confidence scores. We've been waiting a long time for that. I'll probably be testing them in the hotel room tonight.
This has been a request indeed for many of our clients. We are excited to launch it today and encourage the group as well to try it out.
Yeah.
Raman, on your side.
So on the World Bank side also, it's very similar. I think connectors, because we have so many different enterprise software which we use in different areas. Right now, a significant chunk of time is spent bringing that data and harmonizing it, prepping it, as Sachin pointed out, getting it into either a BigQuery or on Google Data Store. So having these connectors would greatly help accelerate the value, because the expectation from staff is that they go to one place and they're able to get all the information at one place. And that is something which would be really helpful. The second piece which we've heard from World Bank staff is an integrated view of internal and external content, because right now they do use the public Google, they end up using the internal search engines as well, and they collate. But when you're producing summaries, if you're able to bring the power of both grounded on citations, I think that would be awesome. So that's
definitely something that we are looking into implementation as well, and working into testing and with our clients. So thank you very much for that feedback. And last piece I wanted to touch upon, there is a huge difference between bringing generative AI and AI technology in general to enterprise environment from the B2C business. What are the governance structures that need to be in place in your organizations that the team here and the audience can learn from, that you've implemented while working with that technology over the past months?
So maybe I'll go first. So the World Bank is kind of unique because we enjoy certain privileges and immunities as an international development institution. But that also means that when we work with cloud services and cloud providers, the data which is provided is kind of secure and separated from the rest of the content. And that implies significant security policies, grounding of the networks, and so on and so forth. So that possibly is the most critical piece from a governance standpoint, because we do not want any of the data which is provided to be used for the model improvements and stuff like that, because it is kind of proprietary to the bank. The second piece is, even though we enjoy privileges and immunities, we follow the data privacy policy. So there is internal World Bank personal data use policy. And that again implies that usage of data, how is the data stored, how is it used, how is it going to be used in the future, those all become extremely critical from a governance standpoint.
Would you agree as well, Dedaimia?
Yeah, we really have remarkably similar concerns to the World Bank. For Mayo Clinic, the privacy and security of our patient data is paramount. So any data that we're putting in the cloud, we're looking for the services to be HIPAA compliant, covered under our business associate agreement. We want all data protected by both user identity management, so Google Cloud IAM, and also networking controls, so virtual private cloud. We're also looking for full auditing and traceability on any data that we load in the cloud. More specific to generative AI, it's really important that any data that's input into the model as prompts or as user questions doesn't feed the training of the public model, that stays private. And all of Google's generative AI features meet that criteria.
Yeah, we very much stick to that notion that anything, whether it's a prompt, the training data, or even model output, these are all IP of the customer, and we wouldn't use that in training our models. So I hope this is explicit, and I think this is a requirement not only for us, but for any technology organization. So that leads me to the last topic of today's talk. Thank you very much for being with us today. That was very valuable. To the topic of enterprise readiness, as mentioned before, B2C and B2B are truly, I don't want to say different businesses, but I think there is a high bar for making generative AI in particular enterprise ready. And that becomes even harder in the era of generative AI. And why? The reason is that the access to the technology is being democratized. There are more and more people, capabilities are getting out of the box. In the past, machine learning engineers and data scientists had only an exclusive access to that technology. Today, it's not the case. Today, people need to learn how to prompt, and sometimes they don't need to learn how to train the model to use AI technology. So the set of opportunities is larger, but at the same time, the set of risks is also larger. What are the critical aspects that we've seen in enterprise environment? The first one is control over IP. And as I was mentioning before, anything that is prompt training data or model output is truly your data and your protected IP. The second aspect is grounding in factuality, and that's the unique risk of generative AI. Grounding and providing and avoiding hallucinations is of importance. That might cost the reputation of the organization if that's not adhered to. And we are providing those grounding capabilities on your corpus of the data. The other aspect is easy access to responsible AI tooling, and I will talk briefly about it later. This is not only about talking, I want to be responsible. This is really in operationalizing that and giving enterprises the real tooling to make it happen. And the last piece is data governance, safety, and security within the cloud that is guaranteed as with all our products on GCP. So how are we approaching that from the enterprise search perspective? First, any of our products that we are releasing, and we are releasing into GA today, are monitored by the independent party of lawyers, legal counsels, ethicists, product and engineers that ask themselves how this product can be misused rather than used. And before releasing that product, we are going through all those reviews. The other aspect is, as I mentioned before, all that tooling that we are giving to our engineers, but as well externally to be able to use that within application of generative AI technology, and I will give a few examples of that. And the last but not least is all the work that Google is doing and ourselves with the educational research and organizations, and providing and learning from all of those organizations ourselves to implement and provide those toolings and best practices. So just to give a few examples that we released actually today in experimental is, as you generate images, we provide digital watermarking based on really, really recent innovation from DeepMind, allowing to embed an invisible watermark behind the generated images. It's not visible to human eye, but it's traceable from the IP perspective. The other aspects are safety filters that some of you might have already worked, but are truly an important aspect of revising the data, the input, but as well the output, giving the customers the confidence scores as well, how harmful that content might be. And the categories that you might define are multiple, ranging from war, crime, to violence, sexual harassment, and so on and so forth. The third aspect I want to bring to your attention is biases. So a lot of tools on our Responsible AI website are available, and to prevent any biases, whether this is gender, race, religion, you will be able to, in a similar manner, to have as well and adjust the confidence scores for your application and business needs. And the last piece that I want to bring to your attention are recitation checks. So whenever the text is being generated, we are providing tools that allow to monitor how much of that text might have been copied, which gives you as well a certain level of insight into protecting the IP of the original and how the model is being used to generate new content. So I want to pause for a second and say technology is great, but responsibility is even more important. So if there is anything that we would take from this presentation is that we all need to use that great technology with huge opportunities, with huge responsibility. So successful AI is only responsible AI. If you have any questions, feel free to check that website on enterprise specifically, and thank you very much for your attention.